Hi, welcome to the 10-minute video summary, the message that was shared at Henrietta Christian Fellowship on the 12th of June, 2022. My name is Don Bolt. I'm the pastor at the church. I'd like to take about 10 minutes, share with you some highlights from this past Sunday's message, talking about decisions, about decision, okay, about being decisive, not being diverted by distractions, and also just about the error of indecision, okay, when it calls for us to make a decision, and we fail to do it, at times we miss opportunities that God did not intend for us to miss. Okay, so I'm going to start off by talking about an uncomfortable scripture, okay? And, there are scriptures that make us uncomfortable, and sometimes what we do is we say, well, oh yeah, those don't apply to me somehow. Like, no, that wouldn't describe me, da, da, da. And so we don't learn from them anymore. All right, so let's take a look at James 1, 5 through 8, and let's just be willing to say, okay, God, maybe sometimes I am a bit double-minded here. But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously and without reproach, okay? He gives to all generously without reproach. He doesn't scold you, he just gives you wisdom, okay? And we're invited to ask, all right? But you must ask in faith without doubting. Why? Because if you're full of doubt, okay, you're not stable, okay? For that man ought not to expect to receive anything from the Lord, not because he's punishing you, but you're double-minded, you're unstable. God is not going to take this precious thing and put it into the life of somebody who is not willing to act decisively in favor of the things that God has told him to do, okay? So for now, let's just define double-mindedness as you know what to do, but you're still faltering about doing it, okay? Lot, okay, here he is in Sodom and Gomorrah. The angels are saying, we're about to destroy this place. Come on, get up out of here. And anyways, and Lot is faltering. He knows what's going to happen. He knows what he has to do, but he doesn't want to do it. So the angels literally grab hold of him and drag him out of there, okay? So we don't want to be like Lot. We don't want to be like Lot's wife looking back either, okay? So anyways, when we're facing double-mindedness, we're torn between two decisions, and we know one of them is right. I think sometimes it's good to state out loud for ourselves to hear, what was the other option that we were considering that was causing us to falter? All right, so when facing uncertainty, sometimes we have to wait, but when we're waiting, we don't just wait and twiddle our thumbs. We seek God during that time because decision time is coming. And so, we want to be, doing something, moving in the direction of being ready to make that decision. So decisions are anchored, okay? They're anchored by words, prophetic acts, and even conversion. Now, words are easy, okay? You take it from an internal thing where you're thinking about it to an external thing where you're speaking about it, okay? That's putting it to words, okay? Prophetic acts, let's not get weird about it. Let's just think about it this way. There are times when you are going to take some small step, maybe do some small thing that just indicates this is the direction I'm moving. That's all we mean by prophetic acts, is that it may be something as simple as coming forward for prayer after a church service, or telling a friend about something that you're considering doing, and it's the step out, okay? Even conversion, okay? Conversion, just, we talked about this in another message recently, but just the whole thing of just adopting a new lifestyle, a new way of being who we are, so that we can walk in the things that God has for us, okay? So I want to just give a couple examples here. Saul, okay, when he was anointed king by Samuel, what happened is that he was anointed, but there was a change that was going to come, and the change was going to come when he moved, okay? And 1 Samuel 10:9, it says that it happened when he turned his back to leave Samuel, God changed his heart, okay? So he had told him this is what's going to happen, go. And when he went, God moved. All right, so Joshua 3:13, okay, they're ready to enter into the promised land after 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. And so God says, put the priests out there, tell them take the ark down to the edge of the Jordan, which was at flood stage, and we're going to head across there. And he says, but the water's not going to stop until the priests settle their feet on the bottom of that river with the ark. Okay, so they took that step, okay? So anyways, then you have decisions. Let's talk about some. Okay, Moses made a decision at the burning bush, right? Okay, so there were three possible paths from that experience, okay? Let's look at Exodus 3, 1 through 5. Moses was pasturing the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. The angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the midst of a bush. Now, that's what happened. Moses didn't know what was happening. He just saw a bush that was burning but wasn't consumed. And he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, yet the bush was not consumed. So Moses said, I must turn aside now and see this marvelous sight, why the bush is not burned up. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, okay, he said, when he saw that he was ready to move, okay, God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. Then he said, do not come near here. Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you're standing is holy ground. Those sandals are covered in the dirt of the world. And just so you know, each of us is made of holy ground. Okay, God took that holy earth and formed the first man, called him Adam. All right, and we're from that same holy dirt. Okay, and so he says, get those shoes off your feet that are covered with dung and everything else, and step in here, and let's. And God was ready to do business with Moses because he saw that he turned aside. He made a decision. Okay, there's a decision at the Red Sea. Okay, now not every decision is on holy ground. I mean, some things are just common everyday things, but there are times when they are pivotal, and God's presence is there. Okay, so at the Red Sea, okay, those people at the when they got down to the Red Sea, leaving Egypt, they weren't sure if they should stone Moses or follow him. Okay, and so they get there, the Egyptians are coming down upon them. They said to Moses, "Is it because there were no graves in Egypt that you've taken us away to die in the wilderness?" And on they go with all that they had said. But Moses said to the people, "Do not fear." Okay, make a decision not to be afraid. Stand by, make a decision, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. Okay, so Moses made a decision or two. The people decided that, you know what, yeah, we're going to trust God. Okay, and so God doesn't always part the Red Sea, though, right? Okay, sometimes God is calling us into things, and we don't get those huge miracles to confirm that it's God calling us. Sometimes we really have to walk in faith. Okay, so choose for yourself today. Okay, decision in response to the history of all the blessings of God. This is in Joshua 24:14 through 15. Okay, it says, "Now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. If it is disagreeable in your sight to serve the Lord," he says, okay, choose for yourselves today whom you'll serve. He had just gotten through giving them a whole list of all the blessings that God had brought upon him. He said, now I'm telling you, choose for yourself today who you will serve. Whether the gods that your fathers served that were beyond the river, the gods of the Amorites, and by the way, I threw them out because of it, and you're living in their land. But as for me and my house, Joshua said, we will serve the Lord. Decision making, okay? There's a decision made at the cross. Jesus went to the cross on his own initiative, okay? John 10:17 through 18a. For this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life so that I may take it again. No one has taken it away from me, but I lay it down on my own initiative. Jesus made a decision. Jesus calls us to the cross. The decision to die to sin and live to righteousness. 1 Peter 2:21 through 25. For you have been called for this purpose. Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example to follow in his steps, who committed no sin, no deceit was found in his mouth. Okay, and it goes on to say that he was entrusting himself to he who judges righteously, and he himself bore our sins in his body on the cross, so that we might die to sin and live in a righteous. Decision we're called to make. For by his wounds you are healed, for you are continually straying like sheep, but now you have returned to the shepherd and guardian of your souls. Okay, and so then next one, Jesus calls us to the decision to take up our cross and follow him. John 12:26. If anyone serves me, he must follow me. Okay, seems pretty evident that that's the case. Matthew 16:24 to 26. Then Jesus said to his disciples, if anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Okay, you desire to save your life, you're going to lose it. You lose it for my sake, you'll find it. Okay, what will it profit man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? All right, so there's a decision here, okay, to speak a word, take a prophetic step, and live it to the fullest. Okay, Matthew 7:24 through 25. Everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them, and acts upon them, okay, may be compared to the wise man who built his house on the rock. And you know the rest of that story, okay? So I want to just say, we need to act. Jesus does not call us merely to believe. He calls us to believe and then to act, okay? And so that involves decisions. And so the final piece that I just want to say to you before we part is this. Look, do not turn away or shrink back, all right? Hebrews 10:35 through 39. I'm just going to grab a couple of pieces here. Don't throw away your confidence, which has great reward. So, because you have need of endurance, that when you've done the will of God, you may receive what was promised. And he goes on to say that my righteous one shall live by faith. And if he shrinks back, my soul has no pleasure in him. But here's the blessing. But we are not of those who shrink back to destruction, but of those who have faith to the preserving of the soul. I'm going to say God bless you now, and we'll see you next time on the 10-minute video.